the citrus fruit.
Oh my god. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Pitchfork Fiber Podcast. My name's Hunter, and this is episode 15. Welcome to all the new viewers who are coming and watching and spending some time with me today, and welcome back to everyone who's joined me before. I greatly appreciate you coming and spending some time with me. This is a podcast that takes place in Chicago, Illinois, where I live, and it's about all the things that I've been working on. It's about my life, about kind of the crafty, knitting, fibery goodness, and all the things that I do here. I'm here in my apartment. It's been a while since I've last podcasted, so I'm very rusty. So please bear with me as I get through this. It's already taken me a few tries to start this intro, but hopefully I can get through it and we can truck right along. I have my show notes over here if you're wondering what I'm looking at. I also have some coffee because everyone needs some coffee. The window is open to allow some fresh air in, so if you hear any sirens or loud noises, it's coming from outside, so do not worry about that. Today I plan on kind of taking you through some of the things I've been working on, some of the projects that I hope to accomplish in the near future, some holiday projects that I'm working on, a little bit of life updates, some books I'm reading. So it's going to be a fun time. Hopefully you enjoy. It's been 3 months since I've last podcasted. I will talk about why, probably when I get into the knitting, just because, just wait and see, and you'll see why. It's a little bit extreme, and anyone who's a knitter will feel for me, or maybe they won't. I don't know. But I say let's just jump right in. So one of the projects I've been working on pretty much monogamously, I mean really that's the only project I've been working on the past 3 or 4 weeks, has been the Antonia cardigan by Coco knits. I am knitting the large size, so I think that's the fourth. I think there's extra small, small, medium, and large. I'm knitting the large size, and I'm knitting it out of some hand-dyed yarn that I dyed myself, some Pitchfork fiber. It's a worsted weight pattern, or worsted weight yarn, and the pattern is meant for worsted weight yarn. I'll show you the yarn first. I have a small hand wound ball and also a cake ball. This is all that I have left of my ball, and then this is some more. So this is the beautiful colorway I kind of dyed up. It's a very variegated it's very variegated in the fact that it's kind of brown, tan, beige colors with pops of kind of cayenne, red, burnt orange in there. So it's very beautiful, and it knits up so wonderfully. I love this so much. Here's the back of the cardigan. And I just think this color is so beautiful. It's very neutral. When you look at it from afar, it looks like just kind of a warm, natural kind of neutral color. Perfect to kind of throw on. It goes with really earth tones quite well, but there's so much variation in the yarn. So there's pops of brown. This is quite good lighting, so this is pretty accurate. There's like big pops of brown, of red, and then there's speckles of dark, almost black espresso bean colors. As you see, there's pops all through here, and then the color, the red, is just so vibrant. I did alternate skeins on this, so there is a little bit of kind of striping that's going on, but it really does blend quite well. So this is the pattern. I have completed the entire body and the neckband. So I have waist yarn for the shoulders right now. I'll start the sleeves next. But I did everything. I've used almost 4 skeins of worsted weight so far. 4? I've used like 3.5 so far. So, um, yeah, it's beautiful. I love how the cardigan is super easy and simple. It just kind of is. I'm knitting this as kind of an open cardigan, so there won't be any buttons. So I did the normal. I've not modified a lot yet. So this is pretty much true to pattern. I did knit about an inch more on the length, or a half. I knitted about an inch to a half of an inch more on the body, and then the ribbing I knitted about a half an inch more. I did a 1x1 rib. I went down 1 needle size for this, so I did quite a bit of ribbing. I just think it looks really nice. And then I also did a 1x1 rib here on the neckband. I did go a little bit wider on the neckband than suggested, so that's a little bit of modifications. I also did a tubular bind off, which this is my first time ever doing a tubular bind off. I've done tubular bind on or cast ons before, but it looks so nice. The edge just looks so nice and finished. It's more substantial. I just find that curve is just so, it looks so nice and finished. And so I did that all along the bottom, and then I also did that all along the neckband. So I still have a ton of my ends to weave in, but it's really nice. This will definitely, since it's a super wash wool, it will stretch quite a bit. So I knit it so that it's right at my waist now, not my natural waist, but like where my jeans or my pants would be worn, and then it will definitely grow in length quite a bit, and I also think it will grow around kind of the circumference a bit too, so it fits perfectly now. If I were to wear it now, I would not be mad, but it definitely will get a little bigger, which I think is more of the relaxed kind of fit I'm going for. The sleeve cap is a little bit tight. I might, add 2, 3 extra stitches as I kind of pick up at the bottom, and then also maybe increase somewhere just to give it a little bit more room throughout the bicep. Just because it is a little bit tighter. I want this to be, so I guess I should have noted this before. I have knitted this once before. This is my second time knitting this sweater. So or this cardigan. So I do have a few changes or modifications that I would make from the last time I knitted it. And that would be mostly that it was a little tight the last time, and I don't know if I knitted the medium or if I knitted the large, but it definitely was a little tight. Felt fine, but definitely through this area, I wouldn't say I'm broad, but compared to my waist, I definitely have a larger chest, and shoulders. So I think just increasing maybe 1 or 2, 3 stitches will accommodate for that extra room. Also, it will make the sleeve a little bit not baggier, but wider. It will give it a little bit more ease, and I think that's kind of the vibe and look I'm going for. So I'm very happy with this. It's beautiful yarn. I'm obsessed with the color. I'm so glad I dyed it myself, because I really got exactly what I wanted with something that read kind of solid or tonal, but up close is quite variegated, and I love that. I just have the sleeves to go, and then I'm going to do quite a bit. I'm going to make I'm going to do quite a bit of ribbing, like length at the end, so that it's a nice substantial cuff. And then yeah, I think that will be perfect I want to wear this for Thanksgiving. To be honest, I knit this so fast, but yeah, I've just kind of been knitting here and there, little tiny bits. So this really has not taken me a long time. So I love it. So that's that. Next thing that I have been knitting, or not knitting, but I did make a gauge swatch for, and then I've started to rip it out, and so it's really small right now because as you can see, I've ripped part of this out, but I'm going to be knitting a baby flax sweater. This is Knit Pick Stroll, held double. So it's a fingering weight yarn that I've knitted holding double to make it more of like a DK weight, and then I'm knitting it on, I think these were 4s, US 4 needles, because I wanted it to be pretty warm. I didn't want it to be holey. It's going to be a baby sweater, so I want it to be pretty nice, but I didn't want it to be too thick. So you can't really, this is literally nothing, but hopefully you can imagine it was much larger. But I'm knitting that for my boyfriend Matt. His nephew is just turned 6 months old, baby Camden. He's so cute, and I wanted to make him a little flax sweater. I'm thinking I'm definitely gonna be making the size 6 to 12 months. He's not necessarily a big baby, so I think that will be a good in-between where he can wear it throughout the entire winter here in Chicago, which is going to be quite a bit of time. It's going to be months long, so hopefully he'll be able to wear that. And I'm thinking that the stitch count might be a little big for the 6 to 12, so I'm planning on kind of just like using the stitch count and then kind of doing whatever I want for the, kind of just using that as a recipe and then kind of adding my own ingredients, as one might say. I want to do kind of some cable detail, and cable will kind of bring in some of that extra circumference, and so hopefully it will kind of make it a little smaller and hopefully fit him. I'm gonna I want to finish that by Christmas, but I mean it will not take very long. It's a DK weight and a baby sweater, so that will take a little bit of time, but I did swatch for it. I wanted to do the Flax Light sweater, but that I didn't like the fabric I was getting. It was just not it wasn't the gauge was just so off, and I didn't like it, so I'm going to just kind of make something up. So that's that. Really, I've only been knitting on this, on my cardigan, my Antonia cardigan. I really want it to be finished by Thanksgiving so I can wear it. I wanted cute photos in the falling leaves, but last week on Halloween, like just a few days ago, we had a very big snowstorm, and then all the snow like clasped onto the leaves that were still even green. Some of them were just, turning colors, and then the weight of the snow just kind of took them all off. So now we have no leaves on the trees, and I wanted pretty photos, but oh well, I can deal without. So that's good. And then I did have another, so that's the knitting. That's what I've really been knitting on. I do have quite a bit more to talk about when it comes to knitting and projects, but I thought since I'm kind of in the work in progress, like what I want to show you, I do want to show you one more thing. This is sewing. It is a project that I started a while ago, and I don't even know when, but I started it a while ago. I finished it, and it is a sewing project, and it's a garment. I started sewing a blazer. I wanted to make a blazer for an event that I was going to, and I did it. I finished just in time. I did adjust the pattern. And here it is. This is it. So, I guess I can insert some photos maybe of me wearing it, but I loved this. It is a simple, it's not simple, it's definitely difficult. It's a blazer, a double-breasted blazer, so, it would go like this. With a peaked lapel. There are welt pockets with flaps here that work. There are bound buttonholes so that they are not just cut, they're completely bound inside and out. I did add a lapel welt up here, and then I fully lined it. The lining's wonky because I ran out of time and I had to literally just whip stitch it in, and it is wonky. It worked for the night since it is on the inside. However, I need to finish it, and I haven't worn it. It has in the back flaps, so like the vents, two vents. So it fit really well. I'll insert a picture, but that was just something I wanted to show you since it was a project that I was really proud of. It definitely took longer than expected. I definitely altered a lot of the pattern because there was no like understitching. There was a couple things that I wouldn't have done. I followed an actual like a Vogue pattern. I don't remember the name of it, but I followed a Vogue pattern, and I adjusted it because I didn't like it had kind of weird, it had some things that were funky, and I didn't like that, so I adjusted it and tailored it to myself. It was not fully lined. It only had lined arms. I didn't like that since I didn't have a serger. Like I wanted it fully lined, and I did, but it needs some work still. So, but able to be worn. Next up, I want to move on to projects that I'm wanting to work on or like are planning. I'm in the process of planning. I have been asked to test knit a knit. This will be my first ever test knit. I'm so excited about this. So I saw on Instagram a call for test knitters probably about 2 weeks ago with a photo. And the photo, I had been like, it's so crazy that, let me back up. I'm looking at my show notes because I don't want to screw this up. A few weeks ago or a month ago, I'd kind of been looking at this designer, this Instagram page, and the Instagram page is rosso.cardinale. I'll put it right here. He's a knitwear designer from Rome, Italy, and his work is so beautiful. I love the color work. Yoked sweaters he does. He does some sweaters that are in tarja. They're just very creative. They're very interesting and very non-traditional. I feel like the colors he uses, the patterns, the motifs are all very new and fresh, and they're very fashion forward. And I love that he is a male knitwear designer and makes both knitwear for men and for women. So I'm all about that. A lot of his stuff is unisex or could be worn by anyone, which I also love because I, as someone who loves to knit, I don't necessarily, I'm very intimidated in the fact that there's so many sweaters that I know could be unisex if I adapted them, but they're not meant, they're meant for women. And I would love for patterns to kind of drift away from being gendered, but being able to be unisex by either just omitting waist shaping or adjusting, having that just in a pattern. I think that could be really cool because there are definitely patterns that I would love to knit, but I'm still intimidated by the fact that I would have to adjust them myself. So I love the fact that he is making his work unisex, a lot of that, and is worked into just the patterns. So love that. 2 weeks back, I was on Instagram scrolling, and of all people, he was asking for test knitters. So I immediately DM'd him and was like, hey, I would love to test knit for you. He sent me over some information, and I was like, yeah, I want to do it. So I'm going to be test knitting the Waldstein sweater by Dario Tubina. I hope I'm saying that right. Dario Tubina, also rosso.cardinale on Instagram. It's a beautiful colorwork sweater. It has multiple colors. I've never done a colorwork project before. I've done color work and kind of messed around, but I've never finished a colorwork project. So I think this is quite the undertaking. It's a sweater. It also, I believe isn't even just two. It's like there's sometimes rows with three strands held at once. So I do think it's going to be a challenge, but I definitely think I'm ready to do it. And it will be an undertaking, but I'm excited about it. It is a worsted weight kind of sweater gauge, so it will hopefully knit up quickly. I don't have colors picked out. I have color schemes I'm thinking about. Because there are so many colors, I don't want them. I don't want it to be like over the top, but I also want the colors to definitely go well together. So I'm thinking a dark body color. I'm thinking even maybe like a charcoal or I mean dark, not black, but like something dark, and then having the color at the top. And I'm thinking maybe rust, navy, a maybe like a light tan or a gray, a mustard, some in that hue, kind of that like, I like that. Or also I was thinking maybe going kind of like 70s retro with the chartreuse kind of olive, the burnt orange, the brown. I don't know. So we'll see. I'll let you know.
Orange, the citrus fruit.
Oh my god. Did you hear that? My Alexa started talking to me. That scared the crap out of me. Oh my god. That was scary. My heart's pounding. Okay, wow. That's creepy. Anyways, I want to be working on that, and I don't know about the colors yet, but that's something I'm definitely going to be thinking about. Dario did tell me that he really does want this to be a test knit that is publicized, and it's not necessarily a surprise or secret. He already has come out and shown the pattern, so it's not like it's being test knit and then being released publicly. Like the pattern hasn't been released, but the photos and kind of what it will look like has. So he's excited to have the process being shown on Instagram, and he wants me to share. So I definitely will be doing that as I go along. I'm hoping to have it done around Christmas, which is a huge is a tight timeline for me, just because I love knitting, but sometimes I do so much other stuff that it like doesn't necessarily, I don't bust it out quickly. I make progress a lot at times, but it's kind of more intermittently. So hopefully I will have that started by the next time we podcast, and I'll have a lot of progress. It's bottom up, I believe. So that's something that will be, I've done one sweater before but never finished it bottom up. So we'll see. Lots to talk about. I want to knit the large size, I think it is. So, yeah, I'll talk about that more, but that's exciting. Looking over here. Okay, that is something. There's a lot of other knitting stuff I want to talk about, but I'll talk about that in the future. Um, I'll probably dye up my yarn, to be honest, for this upcoming project, the Waldstein sweater, just because it is the most economical for me. Moving right along, let's start on, I have some sewing projects that I've started thinking about, and actually have some fabric for. So I'm going to move on to some sewing projects that I want to work on and have some materials for. The first one is going to be a Christmas present. So Matt, if you are watching, now's the time to just turn it off, because it's a surprise. Or I want it to be a surprise. So just stop right now. Okay, thank you. I have I have received some fabric in the mail, and this fabric is going to be used to create a lovely quilt. It is not necessarily there's not a pattern for it. I kind of am just going to make it up myself, but I'm drawing inspiration from a weaving that I saw at the museum. I went with Matt maybe a month and a half ago to the museum, and we were walking around, and there's this gorgeous weaving exhibition called like Beyond the Bauhaus, or it's something about Bauhaus weaving at the Art Institute of Chicago. A very good, I really liked the exhibition. It gave a lot of variety of Bauhaus weaving, but this particular one came from Annie Albers, who is, I mean, one of the most famous and notorious Bauhaus women weavers, fiber artist, list goes on and on. But her color work, meaning the amounts and combinations of colors and mixing and patterning, is unbelievable. So I'm gonna pop a picture up right here. This is the work that I gained a lot of inspiration from. I love the way that the patterns kind of meld together, and the color blocking and everything. So I'm going to take inspiration from this quilt and make it into, or this weaving and make it into a quilt. The dimensions are a little bit off, so I'm going to have to play around with that. But I got similar colors that I'm going to be making Matt a quilt for the bed. He has a queen size bed, so this is going to be quite a large quilt. And but it is, I'm thinking that the construction will be pretty much just kind of like stripped pieces together, and then I can cut them up and then rearrange them. So I'm hoping that it won't take, I mean, it'll take a while, the size will be big, but I'm hoping that through the construction of doing it, I can kind of speed up the process. So I got 5 colors, and I bought, okay, sorry that there's still plastic on it because I just got this yesterday and I opened it this morning, but I bought from Missouri Star Quilt Company. If you've never bought from them, they ship super fast. They're out of, I think, Kansas, which I thought was kind of funny because it said Missouri, and for some reason, they're out of, oh, nope, Hamilton, Missouri. So, that's where they're from, Hamilton, Missouri. And super fast, great selection. You can buy yardage from them. So I bought Kona cotton. They were having a sale, and so I bought all of this is Kona cotton, but I'm going to go down the line from lightest to darkest. I bought 3 yards of oyster, Kona cotton oyster, just a nice neutral white, but it definitely is more of a gray white than maybe like a warm white. Like, it definitely is a natural color versus a stark paper white. I then have a light gray, which is pewter, a lovely kind of more blue hued gray, neutral. I have, this was the kind of color that is going to be like the statement color, and this is terracotta. A beautiful burnt orange hinging on orange red, really nice. And then I have this gorgeous Coco color. It's definitely maroon. This is pretty, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's a chocolatey maroon. So that will look really nice, I think, with terracotta. And then my last color, which is the darkest color, and it literally looks black, but if you look closely, it is a kind of espresso color. There's a tinge of brown and purple almost. So it's beautiful. And I think altogether, the colors are going to be quite nice. Let me just get all this so you can see it. I think it will look nice together. The color kind of combo, the gray there, I think it will look nice. I'm really taking inspiration directly from this weaving, so I don't foresee. I don't know. I would maybe love to write up a pattern for it. I think that could be kind of fun. Maybe I could write up a pattern, and that might be my first ever published pattern. But I don't know how that would be since I'm taking such inspiration from another thing. But maybe since it's already something, I can. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But let me know down below if that's something you would want to see, a quilting pattern. That could be kind of fun. But I'm hoping to get that started very soon. I'm going to start on that, and I'm just nervous because I don't know how the quilt, it's so big and I just have a domestic machine. I'm just nervous that the actual quilting of it will be difficult on my machine since I plan on making a quite large quilt, a queen size. I know it can be done. I also don't want the batting to be super thick, so I'm thinking that definitely will cut down on the bulk when I quilt it. And if I do quilt, it will be straight line quilting, but I don't know the time. I mean, it's so big and the amount of time that quilting takes. I would love to get it long-armed, but long-arming is so expensive and I literally have no money, so that's something that I'm gonna have to think. I have a connection. One of my friends, her mom is a long armor in the Seattle area, and she is so lovely. Hopefully I should find her card. I'll find her card and put her information up right here. But you can ship her quilts and she'll long arm it for you and send it back. And she was like, I'll give you a really good discount or even do it for free. And I was like, no. I will not allow someone to do something for free for me when I want to support their talents, their abilities, their skills, and techniques. Like, I think that is the sweetest, most kind thing, but I really wouldn't want. I just find I know that it would be a gift from her to me, but at the same time, I want to support her in her business, and so whether that is a discount and I still pay, that's something between us, but that is an option. However, shipping and getting it done, I need to have it done soon because I want it by Christmas, so I need to really get a move on. So the sweater, the Waldstein sweater, and this quilt are really two big projects that I want to have done before Christmas, so I really need to get moving, but all exciting things. The next thing are some tree skirts. I want to make some reversible tree skirts for the Christmas tree. We have two I think we're going to put up in the house, and I'm thinking Matt and I were talking about maybe some green velvet, and then reverse side maybe another color, maybe something more retro, metallic, something, I don't know. But I'm thinking that could be kind of fun, just reversible tree skirts. So that's something that could take just an afternoon to make. But I need to buy material and all the sales. All the sales are coming up. So, I mean, now's the time to start buying, because if you don't get it now, I'm not going to get it in time to put it up. I mean, we really only have a few weeks till we start putting up Christmas decorations, so that's also on the scope. But let's move on to what I've been reading, because that's really all I have for the knitting and crafty kind of stuff. I was gonna just talk about some things that I'm reading, and then I was gonna jump into just kind of update about my life. Also about why I couldn't knit for 3 months, and why my cardigan that I was working on took a complete back burner seat. So stay tuned for that. But let me get some of the books. So, first book that I started reading over the summer and finished and is really good. I bought this at a local bookstore, Women and Children's First in Andersonville. This is their Women and Children's First. It's a local bookshop in Andersonville neighborhood, which is on a north neighborhood of Chicago, and I always want to support them. They do amazing stuff for the community. I'm wanting to see if they have. It's an independent and literary and political bookstore. 40 years. They've been around for 40 years. So, I mean, they do great things for the community beyond just selling books, but they bring in local publishers or authors. They donate a lot of money to local organizations and stuff, so they do like a ton of great work. So I went in a while ago, months ago, and I bought this book, and I just had to buy it because I wanted to read it, and also I wanted to buy something from them. So this is called Rainbow Warrior: My Life in Color by Gilbert Baker, and he is the creator, the kind of person behind the rainbow flag, the LGBTQ plus IA flag. Really interesting. I mean, as a lot of you may know, and some of you may not know, a lot of my background in school and my master's thesis talked about the AIDS quilt, about gay rights, about activism, and through quilting. And so this flag is something that I definitely wanted to read more. I read a ton about, but I wanted to dig deeper into. I've read Cleve Jones's memoir, and he also was an influential person in the gay rights movement and creating of the LGBTQ flag. But this was an alternative perspective, which is really great. It's basically memoir mixed in with historical events and anecdotes, imagery. It's really good. So not long, but very informing, inspiring, and something that I feel like everyone should know about. I mean, we think about seeing the flag everywhere during Pride Month. I mean, the flag is on everything. Every corporation is taking this rainbow and turning it into some sort of like moneymaker, or it's just like it's everywhere. And the fact that someone had to make that, like someone came up with the idea to do this, so that was really awesome. The next book I started, I haven't finished it, but I've wanted to read this for years, is by Zadie Smith, and it's called Swing Time. I'm actually listening to this on audio. It really talks about the dream of being a dancer from this little girl's perspective who lives in England, and it talks a lot about culture of being English, but also having African heritage, and also about kind of what it means to be a person of color, a girl of color in an environment like England in her 20s, and talks a lot about race and kind of understanding where you've came from as a person of color. And yeah, it's just really interesting. So I've wanted to read it for a while, and I love dance. That's something I love. So it was on my queue, and I'm now listening to it, so that's fun. I've been listening to it while I've been knitting. And the third book that I just started is called Notes from a Young Black Chef, and this one is by Kwame Onwuachi. This is a really interesting story because I was working at the Museum of Contemporary Art, where I work and do kind of like manage performances, lectures, and talks, series, whatever. And he actually came to do a talk. It was in collaboration with the Museum of Contemporary Art and the Chicago Humanities Festival, and he came to do a talk. They sold his book, and I was like, oh my god, I have to read this. So interesting, and really, I have just started. I'm not far at all, but just listening to his talk was fascinating, and I think that this is someone that I want to support. I also bought this book from the talk, but it came from a bookstore, a local bookstore, so also I want to support them. It's called Seminary Co-op Bookstore. It's located on 57th Street in Chicago, which is more on the south side. It's a children's books, genre, fiction, translated literature, general interest books, and beyond. So, Seminary Bookstore. There's 2 locations, in Woodlawn, on South Woodlawn, and also on 57th Street. So, definitely go check them out. I always want to support local bookstores. I think that is something that's so important, and especially one on the south side of Chicago. So important to have a bookstore. And yeah, beautiful. I mean, really, the cover just drew me in. So super awesome. Check that out. And that's it for books. I'm going to move on to just kind of like what I'm doing in my life. I'm going to wrap this up quickly since we're already at like 40 minutes. But basically, I have been so the last time I talked with you all was in the summer. I was still looking for full-time work. I was kind of just like figuring out what I was going to be doing with my postgraduate life. Graduating from undergrad and then going straight into grad school. I have for my whole life been in school as a student, and so I always just was like taking internships and working on what I was going to do in the next year and in school. And now that I'm out of school and graduated, this is the first time I've ever had where I'm not in school, and it feels weird. It's been definitely an interesting transition period. So I spent the summer really just looking for work, and it was has been a very long process where I still don't have full-time work, but I am working multiple jobs that are part-time, working at the Museum of Contemporary Art, where I manage performances, lectures, and things such as that. And then also I just started a new role as a teaching artist at the Chicago History Museum, where I'm teaching a Fashion Next program for teens. It's a teen program throughout the city of Chicago and the Chicago Park District, where I go to different locations and I teach a fashion program. And we learn fashion construction, fashion design, how to different processes of creating fabrics and altering fabrics, dyeing and sewing, all sorts of things. So that's been really exciting, and a project that I've really been looking forward to. Every week we do a different kind of lesson that will end up adding up to a final kind of project that the teens work on. So that's exciting. I do a little bit of graphic design here and there, and then I am a server in the food industry. So that's something that isn't necessarily the most fun or exciting, but it pays the bills, and that's what's important. But because of that, I have had a lot of time in kind of random bits of time that I didn't always have. So I've been able to knit and think about projects that I want to make, because I now have the time to do that. Even though I'm still crazy busy, I still have kind of these weird pockets in my day where I can do stuff. So that's been really great. But about 3 months ago I'd say not 3 months ago, but in August, so maybe 2 full months ago or so, I hurt myself pretty bad. I was just like very in a hurry. I was in a rush. I was going to be doing something in the evening. I was hungry, and I just was like making food fast, making some lunch, and I chopped my finger really bad. It was this finger, my left hand pointer finger, and I just kind of and off went the tip of my finger. Yeah, I know I'm not going to go into it, but a part of my finger was taken off, and I went to the hospital, and they couldn't really do stitches because there was nothing really to close. So in the end, I had a large wound that was like very painful, and was in a like splinted cast thing for a long time. Like I had to wear it. I wore it for probably a month, because any bit of touch, because it was like it had been cut quite deep, so I had very intense very sensitive nerve kind of sensations. So it was really painful. So I really couldn't do anything with this finger for like probably 3 months. I mean, really, like 2.5 months. I couldn't do anything, and I knit continentally. Like I knit where I flick with this exact intention with this finger. So of all things, I could not be knitting. So I really couldn't knit for that whole time. I couldn't do anything I really couldn't do anything with my left hand, because it was very sensitive, and it still is very sensitive to this day. Like hot water, ooh, not good. If I hit it wrong, it hurts really bad. It is a little bit, I wouldn't say deformed, but like there's definitely a notch of my finger that's missing. But I mean, it's not noticeable. It's something that I notice. But yeah, so that was the something. So I couldn't really do a whole lot with my fingers, and knitting in the was not something I was doing at the time. But to say now, it is doing fine, it is healing, and I'm able to knit, and I've been knitting a sweater, I've been making, so that's been fantastic. But I think that this is probably about it. I think the holiday season's coming up, Thanksgiving, if you are in the US, Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas. I know Hanukkah, Kwanzaa are also approaching quickly. So there's so much to do, so much to make, things for people, whatever it may be. So I just want to say thank you for joining me. If you want to subscribe to this channel and follow me when I kind of upload next, I know sometimes it's not the most consistent, but you definitely will be able to catch my next episode if you follow me and subscribe, hit the bell. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's where I'm absolutely the most active on Instagram. That's what I was trying to say. So I post a lot more regularly and do stories and updates on my progress on projects. So follow me at Pitchfork Fiber and you will see everything I've been working on. So thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time to just chat with me, see what I've been up to, and hopefully I will see you soon. Enjoy making for people for the holidays if that's something you're doing. Enjoy the weather if you are wherever you're at, and just get some time to yourself to make. So I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me, and have a good one. Bye.